美国际学校来说，今天是个激动人心且具有历史意义的日子。这个日子代表了中美已经迈入下个新篇章，而中美社群也即将展开一趟新的旅程。我是中文部主任江心怡，我很荣幸担任今天新校区开幕式和剪彩仪式的主持人。我们很高兴有这么多的家人、校友、教职员工和社区领导人与我们同在。感谢您与我们一起庆祝这个中美历史上重要的里程碑。Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this exciting and historic day as we embark on this new chapter of Chinese American International School. Today marks the beginning of an exciting journey for the entire community. I'm the Chinese Program Director, Cindy Zhang. It is my honor to be your MC for our grand opening and ribbon cutting for our new campus. We are thrilled to have so many of you, families, alumni, faculty, staff, and community leaders here with us today. Thank you for joining us to celebrate this important milestone in CAIS history. 现在让我邀请我们的校长毕杰夫先生分享几句话。I'm pleased to introduce our head of school, Jeff Bissell, to share a few words.
Thank you, Cindy. Wow. So, Carol Rose Silver, CAIS trustees, past and present, families, students, alumni, faculty and staff, City Attorney David Chu, our very own District 7 Supervisor, Myrna Melgar. Welcome to CAIS. It's great to see you all. So, for me, the path that has led us to this day began on my second day on the job at CAIS in July of 2010. I was invited to a meeting with the head of the French American International School, or FACE, a couple of trustees from FACE and CAIS, and an architect. The architect had produced a number of renderings of new buildings on the site of the Oak Street Gymnasium that were intended to address the lack of space that both CAIS and FACE were feeling. Choose one, I was told. This was day 2. It felt like an ambush. I think I said something like, I need to learn where the bathrooms and stairwells are before I start talking about capital projects. Anyway, that was the beginning of my own 14-year real estate journey from Hayes Valley to 19th Avenue. But for school founder Carol Rose Silver and those who followed her, it has been a much longer journey that included cleaning and painting 2 classrooms in the basement of the UC extension on 55 Laguna Street, a former military hospital in the Presidio, a former Caltrans office building at 150 Oak, an old firehouse and church annex on Waller Street, and an abandoned free clinic at 88 Turk Street that had most recently been taken over by the Occupy Wall Street movement. So I first want to express thanks on behalf of the CAIS community to all the trustees who for 43 years have courageously persevered in building a bigger and better CAIS. From 2 basement rooms and 4 students on September 12, 1981, to this 5.5 acres, 3 buildings, 120,000 square feet of program space, and 554 students. This would not have been possible without the vision, the dedication, and the generosity of past and present CAIS trustees. In addition to the pioneering trustees who built our nation's first Mandarin Immersion Day School, I'd like to express particular gratitude to the trustees who served from 2020 to 2024 and took us through the financing, purchase, planning, and fundraising for our new campus, much of it during a pandemic. Your bold vision and focused execution will have a life-changing and world-changing impact on generations to come. In particular, I want to single out our board chairs during that period, Mary Powell and Chris Tom, whose steady and disciplined leadership was critical for our success. I also want to recognize the contribution of the late and great Shirley Lee. CAIS's legendary founding school head who literally created Mandarin immersion education in the United States. I had the good fortune to meet Shirley in 2009, and it is truly awe-inspiring to think that I and all of my colleagues and our peers in the now more than 500 Mandarin immersion programs in the U.S. all work in a field that Shirley created. I believe Shirley's children, Lily and Tawal, may be here today, and I know you must be incredibly proud of your mom. Our CAIS parent community deserves a huge thank you for your capital donations totaling $17 million, including those who generously donated at Showcase Fund a Need, our CAIS Week of Giving, and the leadership phase that began in October of 2021. I want to thank the volunteer parents from the Schools Family School Alliance, or FSA, for partnering with us to organize today's ribbon cutting and mid-autumn festivities. I'd like to thank the people from the Lakeside neighborhood for their forbearance through the noisy construction process, and more recently as an army of Teslas and school buses has descended on your neighborhood. And I want to give a special shout out to the Sisters of Mercy, who in 1952 constructed this amazing building, and I promise you we'll be good stewards of the property. A giant and heartfelt thank you to our faculty and staff who moved a village from Hayes Valley to 19th Avenue and have brought this place to life over the last 3 weeks. And finally, thank you all of you for your ongoing patience as we finish the work on the playgrounds. I promise we will get there. Over the past 4 years, I've often, or from time to time, I've imagined this day. And I must admit that at those times, I naively imagined our campus would be 100% finished. Clearly, we still have some work to do. But as I reflect on the work still ahead, I've come to embrace this state as part of CAIS's identity, constantly striving to improve, innovate, and become better. CAIS was unfinished when Carol Rose Silver and Shirley Lee opened the doors on 55 Laguna Street. We were unfinished when we moved to the Presidio, to Oak, to Waller, and to 888. Unfinished is what lifelong learning is. It's what perseverance is. It's what becoming your best self is. This undoubtedly strikes some of you as a flowery justification for an unfinished campus. But in fact, it's an essentially CAIS attitude that has enabled me and my colleagues to embrace perpetual becoming. There are expressions of perpetual becoming that are less visible than our facilities. When I came to CAIS in 2010, the school had been around for almost 30 years. But at that time, we didn't have, for example, a pioneering integrated Mandarin and English math program yet. We didn't have the most comprehensive Mandarin assessment program in the country yet. We didn't have 100 students per year living and studying in Taiwan and mainland China yet. We didn't have a leadership team of Mandarin-speaking educators yet. There are so many other things we didn't have yet. This campus provides us with the space to continue to innovate and improve. Theater, the arts, sports, PE, community building, pushing Mandarin outside the Chinese classrooms, outdoor activities, wraparound care from morning to evening for our families during the school year and on holidays in a safe and familiar place. So 43 years ago, Carol Ruth Silver gave us a runway to become. Thank you, Carol Ruth, and thank you to everyone whose contributions, great and small, have enabled us to inhabit this amazing place. I look forward to seeing what we will become. 现在很荣幸为大家介绍中美的前任理事长谭大友。Now it's my pleasure to introduce former board chair, my boss emeritus, Christopher Tom.
Friends, families, administrators, teachers, and staff of CAIS, we did it. Thanks to you, we can call this campus home. I had the privilege of serving as board chair between July 2021 and June 2024. And as we start this exciting new chapter at CAIS, let us reflect on what brought us to this moment. Nearly 4 years ago, during the peak of the pandemic, head of school Jeff Bissell and the board of trustees embarked on a bold mission to purchase this campus. In the face of a pandemic with no end in sight, we persisted. In the face of waves of anti-Asian sentiment, we persisted. And in the face of uncertainty about our jobs and our finances, we persisted. And along the way, we hoped, we fretted, we toiled. And because of your faith, your sacrifice, and your effort, on September 2nd, CAIS students began their semester on our new campus. As my children Theo and Ezra are quick to remind me, the campus is still a work in progress. Yet, this work in progress is our work in progress. And before long, we will realize its full potential. Fellow trustees, thank you for lending your expertise and attending fundraisers. Thank you for keeping your skepticism to yourselves. And thank you for making every effort at every turn, often unnoticed and unrecognized, to make this day a reality. Your courage, self-sacrifice, and generosity have sustained and inspired me. I am particularly grateful to Peter Xiao for agreeing to be chair beginning this year, and to John Hsu, Brian Jenkins, Paul Kocher, John Maeda, and Chris Foley for all of their tremendous work on Facilities Committee, and also to John Wong and Brian Jenkins for their mastery of our finances. Over 3 years ago, I began my term as board chair with some trusted acquaintances, and I have left the position with lifelong friends. I am forever grateful to Jeff Bissell, to Steve Bajak, our CFO, to Berkeley Summerlin, our Director of Advancement, and to Pam Winthrop, who's here, our prior Director of Advancement, and Lucy Nysall, the assistant to our head of school, all of whom I had the great pleasure of working with closely over the last 4 years. This day would not have been possible without you. Without your audacity, tenacity, diligence, and creativity. You have worked tirelessly, all the while deflecting credit and sharing it with others. Jeff, I would be remiss not to acknowledge before our entire community the reality that we would not be here today without you. We would not be here today without your vision for CAIS's future, your confidence in the enduring power of a Chinese immersion education, and without your unparalleled work ethic. Jeff, throughout this process, anytime we encountered any obstacle, you and your team came up with a pragmatic and effective solution, whether it was to a financial, logistical, or temporal challenge. And I am fully confident that if our elevator had gotten stuck in Michigan, where we were tracking it, you, Jeff, and Steve Bajek would have personally flown out there. We would have rented a truck. You would have driven it back in time for inspections. Teachers, staff, families, and friends of CAIS, I am confident that wherever your family originated from, your ancestors would be delighted today. Delighted that this generation of CAIS students from various backgrounds, from various families, from a multitude of experiences can stand together as classmates, friends, and equals, both in society and in their Chinese language proficiency. Today, we celebrate what we know to be true in our hearts, that despite the divisiveness in today's world, our shared values, hopes, and dreams bind us together and propel us forward. Today, the cutting of the ribbon represents the grand opening of our new school, as well as the removal of some barriers that have long divided our society. Thank you, CAIS community.
Thank you, Chris. I sort of wish the elevator had been stuck in Michigan and that Bajek and I could have enjoyed a buddy road trip. Next project. Anyway, it is now my great honor to introduce Freedom Rider, former city supervisor, civil rights attorney, and my friend of 14 years, the woman with the world's best hat collection and the strongest handshake I've ever felt. Please help me welcoming CAIS founder, Carol Ruth Silver.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, all of you, for coming out on this cold and windy day. Not so much wind, but cold. And I am thrilled, as I think all of us are, at the prospect that CAIS now has and is in the process of moving into its forever location. CAIS started out, somebody asked me, how did CAIS start? And I said, well, first thing that happened is my gynecologist told me that there was no chance that I was ever going to have a child, because although the plumbing was all there, it wasn't working. So I said, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to have to adopt a child, because I am not going to go through life without, whether with cats or without cats, being a childless woman. And so I embarked on on a search which was not very successful until a friend of mine, a law school buddy of mine in Chicago, said, "Oh, not a problem. My mother," she said, "is on the board of an adoption agency in Taiwan, and I'm going to call her right now. Hi, Mom," in Chinese. And from that moment, it took about a year, but I ended up in 1973 with this absolutely wonderful young man whom I renamed Stephen Chow Silver. And he was about 2.5 years old. He spoke Taiwanese, he spoke Mandarin, and he was the apple of my eye. But the one thing that I could not offer him as I introduced him to America was the opportunity to maintain his Chinese heritage. And that to me was extremely important because I could not suffer the embarrassment of having picked him up as an orphan from Taiwan and introduced him to America without his being able to retain what was wonderful and exciting and good about his own heritage. And so, long story short, I'm giving you the shortened version of this. I began to study the whole issue of bilingual education. There was right at that time, there was a new report from the President's Commission on Bilingual Education and some other things, and there was a sense that this was something that needed to be done. So I turned to my friend Mimi Luck, who is now no longer with us, but who was a district attorney in the office of the San Francisco district attorney. And she and I cooked up the idea that we, because we were both attorneys, could just walk in on Judge Harry Lowe after his court cases were finished and, chat with him. So, and this would not be possible now. Judges now have military-style protection. But anyway, we walked in and we sat down with Judge Lowe and we said, "Judge, we do not have a case before you. We do not want to talk about any cases that you have. We just want a few minutes of your time." So 2 hours later, we left, Mimi and I and Judge Lowe, as a team that was going to put together the Chinese American Bilingual School. That was the name. It subsequently changed. And between that meeting and the fact, and about a year later, when we opened the doors to our first class, we found Shirley Lee through the good offices of Maurice Sen, who was then a professor at San Francisco State. We found people who were willing to sign on to this idea, and we found people who were willing to volunteer their time and ultimately their money and their effort and their enthusiasm, and we signed up actually 10 little kids. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And on the day of the first day of school, Shirley and I, in our very best teacher-like clothes, were waiting there as the children arrived. 4 of them showed up, not 10. If we had 10, we would have been very happy. Anyway, so Shirley and I went off in a corner and said, what should we do? Should we proceed? Should we go forward? Or should we just call it a day and say we failed? Well, those of you who knew Shirley never, like what was said about Jeff earlier today, Shirley never would admit failure. Shirley never would turn back. And Shirley said, and I said, let's go forward. And by the end of the month, we had our 10 kids. By the end of 2 months, we had more kids. And by the end of the year, I think we had about 20 or 25 kids. That's amazing, given that the opposition to what we were doing was very, very substantial. I had first taken this idea to the school board of the city of San Francisco, and they said, and through their spokespeople, they said, no, never, absolutely not. If we're going to have a school, it's going to be in Cantonese, and later on they did create a Cantonese bilingual school, but it was Mandarin, no. So we went further and we went on and we continued to work, and by the end of the second year, and we had been given a room by Yvonne d'Agencé, who was the head of the French school at that time, in the basement of the French school, which was filled with storage. So we had to clean out all the storage, clean it up, paint it, and do all those things. And for that, I invoked the assistance of all kinds of people, including myself, who climbed on ladders, who painted, who did all these things. One way or another, we managed to get to the point where Alice Carnes showed up one day and said, hey, this is a great idea. Why didn't you tell me about this before? And from that day forward, Alice was our financial runner. She would bring people to the school, and she would get people to come to fundraisers and so forth. I am so thrilled that after we had that little basement place underneath the French-American school, I am so thrilled that I was so thrilled when Alice negotiated 150 Oak Street. I was so thrilled when we got 888. I have never, however, had the experience of today, which is to see, as my friend Leanna, who came in from South Dakota, said, to see what has been the flowering of my vision into the forever home of Chinese American International School. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you to the kids who believed and who studied and worked. Thank you to the teachers. Thank you to all of you. I cannot say how absolutely thrilled I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you to our founder, Carol Ruth Silver, without whom we would not be here today. Now it is my distinct joy and pleasure to introduce the singularly talented, dedicated, and diligent San Francisco City Attorney, David Chu. Now, David is a trailblazer and a role model, and wait for it, he's also my boss. Now, not only is David the leader of the preeminent municipal law office in the country, he also previously served as a prolific state legislator and as president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Like Shohei Ohtani, David has the rare ability to play multiple positions with incredible dexterity. And on top of his many accomplishments, he wants me to cut it off, but on top of his many accomplishments, you should know that David is also a parent of Lucas, who's a third grader enrolled in Chinese immersion education. So without further ado, Mr. David Chu.
I guess I have to give you a raise now, Chris. Dajahao, good morning, CAIS. Are we excited for this opening? I will start by thanking Chris, who you know has worked tirelessly around the clock, not just as an outstanding attorney in my office, but for this community. And I'm very happy now that you are the former board chair, that maybe you'll get a little bit more sleep. As I was coming over here today, and I was thinking about Autumn Moon Festival and how this community has touched so many of us, I was thinking about how CAIS has been a part of my life and all of our lives. We have a number of us who have served or serve as members of the Board of Supervisors. And I think there are 4 of us who are here today, we look up to the force of nature known as former Supervisor Carol Ruth Silver. In fact, I have to tell you, last week, Supervisor Silver and I were sitting together watching the debate as Kamala Harris was demolishing a certain former presidential candidate. And she was giving tips to us on what more she could be doing to make sure we win. So we truly need to figure out how to clone Carol Ruth Silver. But I also thought about the fact that in 1987, a United States senator came to provide these diplomas to the first graduating class of CAIS. And for those of you who don't know the name, U.S. Senator Paul Simon, a few years later, he hired me as his last attorney for the Senate Judiciary Committee. I would not be here but for an elected official along with Supervisor Silver, who believed in the importance of bilingual education. And then one other random touch point, your head of school just told me today that apparently he is married to my son's 3rd grade teacher. So we are all here today because of how much this means to us personally. And I'm just going to share one more thing about my personal connection, which is when I was growing up in the 1980s, when this school was founded, my Chinese immigrant parents did not speak Chinese to me. Because on the East Coast, during that time period, we experienced a lot of racism and discrimination, and they thought that if I spoke Chinese, I would not be able to succeed in life. And so this is why my wife and I put my son into a Chinese immersion school, into a school, Presidio Knoll School, which is modeled after the excellence. How's that for a save? I realize I'm like pretending like I'm a Dodgers fan coming to the Giants. But truly, PKS owes CAIS for the leadership that you have led for so many years. And let me just end with this. At this time in this world of geopolitical tensions, of a time when there are significant misunderstandings, particularly about what it means to have any connection with China or to be of Chinese American descent, we need outstanding institutions that are developing the future citizens of the world, future ambassadors, future bridge builders. And I know that when my son and his classmates who are here become adults, they will not only become lawyers and doctors and artists, they will become mayors, they will become US senators, they will become CEOs because of the education here at CAIS. And this is why, on behalf of the city, I have a certificate of recognition to our head of schools, to our board chair and others. On behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, we salute you for 43 outstanding years, and we look forward to the next 43 years. Congratulations.
Thank you, David, for that wonderful story. And thank you for acknowledging CAIS. CAIS is the oldest Chinese immersion school in the nation. Thank you. 现在我很荣幸的来介绍 Myrna Melgar。Myrna 是旧金山第7区市的参事，她不仅是一位来自萨尔瓦多的移民，也是第一位女性担任第7区市的参事，更是第一位任职于参事理事会的犹太拉丁裔女士。Myrna， 我们很荣幸今天您能莅临这场盛会。Now it is my honor to introduce Myrna Melgar. Myrna is the supervisor for San Francisco's District 7. She's an immigrant from El Salvador, the first woman to serve as District 7 supervisor, and the first Jewish Latina to serve on the board of supervisors. Myrna, we are honored to have you here.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm also a neighbor. I live just on the other side of Junipero Serra, where my 3 girls were raised and went to school in this district, which is, of course, the best district in San Francisco. I want to welcome you here. The West Side has the 3rd largest concentration of kids in San Francisco, and it is a great place for your kids to be. You know, when the Sisters of Mercy said that they were done on this campus, this school, you know, Mercy High School, was a wonderful institution that served generations of West Side girls. It was a girls' school. And as opportunities for women and access to education for women increased over time, enrollment in this school decreased. And so the sisters, we had lots of conversations with her, were intent on making sure that an educational institution came here to this wonderful place. And they had condo developers, they had all kinds of people wanting to get their hands on this land, but they were really intent that it should serve kids. There were other institutions that came knocking at the door, but I am so excited and proud that it was CAIS that made its home here for lots of reasons. So I am an immigrant to the West Side, to San Francisco. In this evolution of this land serving kids, now preparing global citizens who are bilingual, who are multicultural, who understand the efforts that we're making to make a better world across cultures, across nations, is just so important. The developing minds in this school will solve the problems of tomorrow. As our city attorney very well stated, we are dealing with new problems, different problems than my generation dealt with. Problems that go across cultures. There is war, there is lack of understanding, there is a climate crisis. There are lots of things that our generation looked at and couldn't solve, but this generation, these kids right here, growing up in a global, digitally connected, multilingual, multicultural world, will see differently than we did. And I am so excited and proud, and thank you, Carol and Jeff all the board of the board of directors of this wonderful organization. Thank you, Chris, for everything that you have done and for leading this institution in this very, very crucial time in your development. I hope that you guys are here for the next 300 years and that this organization continues to thrive. Thank you so much. And I do have a certificate welcoming you.
接下来，我要欢迎旧金山市行政官朱嘉文女士。朱女士相信良好的政府会为人民提供他们所需要的服务。作为一名财务管理员和历经考验的领袖，她一向秉持公开透明、承担责任和客观公平的精神。朱女士也是第一位担任旧金山市行政官的亚裔女性。Next, I would like to welcome Carmen Chu, San Francisco's City Administrator for the City and County of San Francisco. Carmen believes good government connects people to the services they need. A financial steward and proven leader, she stands for transparency, accountability, and fairness. Carmen is the first Asian woman to serve as San Francisco City Administrator. Welcome, Carmen.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I am so excited to be here. First off, I want to make sure to express my greetings on behalf of San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it as she had to speak at a memorial service, but she really wanted to say congratulations. I think having a wonderful institution like this in San Francisco truly is a jewel. So congratulations to all of you on behalf of the mayor. My name is Carmen Chu. I serve as City Administrator, and I'm so pleased to be here to celebrate with you. Many of you may not know, but I have a 7-week-old baby at home right now. So I love the sound of the kids, except when it's at 3 a.m. in the morning. But I want to say, when Chris called and said, or emailed me and said, hey, will you come by and celebrate with us? We're finally opening this wonderful facility. I had to make it. When I grew up, I think much like David, I grew up in an immigrant family. I grew up actually in Southern California and East LA. There weren't as many Chinese Americans down in East LA, and I always remember being in the very, very, very small minority in our community. In many ways, growing up in our immigrant community, we always had to hide kind of who we were, where our families came from. Our families often felt embarrassed or shy when they spoke their language, hoping to have some help. And I think now being here in this role, seeing CAIS and other institutions like this thrive, recognizes a full turning. A turning that recognizes that the world is interconnected, that we are global citizens, and we all have responsibilities as human beings to one another, no matter where you are and where you come from. So I am so thrilled to be here to celebrate this wonderful, excellent institution. Congratulations to Jeff, to Supervisor. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to continue to support this wonderful institution. My own daughter is also going to be going to a Chinese immersion school, but she's in the public school system. She's at the Chinese immersion school at Diavola. So I think this really just speaks to the value and importance of continuing to foster our wonderful diverse city. So again, congratulations to everybody that is here, and I look forward again to continue to support you in this institution. Thank you.
Lastly, Supervisor Stefani is here to congratulate us. Welcome.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here with everyone. I'm Catherine Stephanie from District 2. I will not argue with my incredible colleague that District 7 is the best district in San Francisco, but I am just so excited to be here and to see this incredible opening from a basement to this. I just have so much admiration for you, Supervisor Silver. You are a trailblazer in every way possible for women, for cultural and education. It's just amazing to be here to bear witness to this, and it's so important for us as elected officials to make sure we're lifting up this type of education, and I will do everything I can to continue to do that. So congratulations everyone, and thank you for allowing me to be here today.
All right, now it's the highlight of today's ceremony. 舞狮是中美高度重视的传统，它象征着繁荣、好运和保护。许多中美重大活动中的共同特色，就是由我们的中学学生亲自演出。点睛仪式是整个舞狮表演中最重要的环节。这个象征型的仪式代表了赋予生命的意义，将受到祝福的狮子转化成具有活力的生物，用来抵御邪恶，并且吸引好运。Lion dance is a highly valued tradition at CAIS, symbolizing prosperity, good luck, and protection. It is a key feature in major CAIS events where our own middle school students perform the lion dance. Central to this vibrant tradition is the eye-dotting ceremony, known as 点睛 in Chinese, an important symbolic ritual in Chinese culture that signifies the act of bringing to life, transforming the blessed lion into a lively creature believed to ward off the evil and attract good fortune. 1971年，梁氏白鹤协会由3兄弟在唐人街创立，致力于指导和弘扬中国功夫与舞狮传统。现在，让我们欢迎他们来进行这场吉祥仪式。Students, please come in. Founded in 1971 by 3 brothers in Chinatown, Liang's White Crane Dragon and Lion Dance Association is committed to coaching and carrying forward the traditions of Chinese Kung Fu and Lion Dance. Now, let's welcome them to perform this auspicious ritual. At the same time, I would like to invite Carol Ruth Silver, our board chair Peter Shaw, and our head of school Jeff Bissell to the stage.
Got it. But you can't see the 2 on the side road.
點二，順風耳左通天，右笪地，點地。萬里鼻，點鏡，中間一點劈斜，點角，獨角真如君，點腳。左腳踏一聲，天下太平。右腳踏風雲，藏龍伏虎。點絲皮。萬盡紅光，貴馬雄獅，長水木姜。簪花擴紅，富貴興隆。
for performing this ritual for CAIS. With the completion of the eye dotting ceremony, it is with great excitement that we welcome our middle school students to perform the lion dance that will usher in blessings of prosperity, protection, and harmony to CAIS and to this campus. We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to CAIS former dance teacher Naya Womack Freeman and our new music teacher Cindy Huang, who helped make this performance possible. Please enjoy. And students, 请你们转身。请你们转身，狮头转身。中学生好戏上场。officials and our board of trustees to the stage for our official ribbon cutting. ribbon and officially opening our new CAIS campus. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, CAIS! Thank you all for joining us for the ribbon cutting ceremony. Please proceed to the theater. For those interested in a special performance by our Chinese music ensemble, there's limited seating, which is first come, first serve. Also, if you would like, you can also head back to the roundabout for corner